today's session, we'll continue with the leftover topics is how the implementation happens and what are the post-production, basically what we call as AMS support, right? So from that, I'm opening up a few things here. So yesterday, so there are two phases in which, I won't say two phases, there are two categories in which the role of a Workday consultant differ. And that might be something which you have to think on which side of the system do you want to go, right? So I'm going to add in a few more boxes here with some information. So implementation cycle and post-production AMS support. Implementation cycle is where your organization is moving from your legacy system to the Workday system, right? And a company, basically a customer who's trying to implement it, needs the help of an implementation partner who implements the system for them. A few examples of implementation partner companies are like Deloitte, Accenture, KPMG, and you can get a big list of that on the Workday side as well. Okay. Now let's say your company is implementing Workday. You hired a company, let's say PwC, to get the job done. Now PwC will have certified Workday consultants and product or project managers that will help drive the complete transition. Right? These kind of roles are definitely, the consultants are highly technical because they have to implement different areas of the system depending upon what your company is looking for. Do they want only Workday HCM with benefits and payroll, or do they want Workday HCM with benefits, payroll, time tracking, absence management, recruiting? So based on their experience, based on what the company needs, different consultants will be deployed on the same project. And your role, if you go into an implementation, so the reason I'm sharing this with you so that you can make a better decision, where does your interest basically lies in? And in this case, if you're a project manager, your major responsibility is managing the team, making sure that whatever the client is asking is being delivered without any scope creeps, without any conflicts and all. Conflicts will be there, but you have to resolve them. And product manager is more on a technical side of it, who will be consulted when a Workday consultant has a problem. So they'll consult a product manager because they are very technical on that side of it. So if you are at an implementation partner firm, they will send you for a certification. You'll get certified. You will be started working on with different customers. So your role will be very technical, mostly technical, and you'll be dealing with the business. And at that particular time, a Workday consultant actually is in contact with the business analyst most of the time. Because when an implementation is happening, you need someone from the business who understand Workday functionality a little bit and also is a good bridge between the business and the implementation partner team. So I started from this role. I converted myself to this role. Okay, so your role here will be more or less with business most of the time, but it will involve a lot of testing, which is a good way to learn the system also. You take the requirements from the business, you form the BRDs, you form them into technical specification documents, which is basically your BRD gets translated into technical requirement documents. right? You can convert them into RTM, which is your RACI, Matrix 6, or requirement transformation document. There are many different types of documents. That depends on how your company uses, which one does they use. And you don't have to worry about how BRD is written and all that. Every company has their own format, but you should have a basic understanding of how it works. BRD is still there. It's just that with Agile, they might be using Jira for, sprint tracking, that in this sprint, this is what the map is. And more or less, when the implementation is happening, there is a project manager from the implementer side, and there will be a project manager, like a product lead or a project manager at the customer side as well, who will be dealing with all that agile process, making sure it's being followed. Agile is a methodology, it's not a software. There might be a software by that name, but agile is a methodology like waterfall. These are software methodologies, which are project management methodologies, which you can learn. It's agile, waterfall, spiral. There are many others, but agile is the within agile. Also, you have these scrum cycles. Basically, there are these four. I don't know what we call them. It's been a while. I need to refresh those. So you have these four different things in agile which you have to follow. There are these scrum cycles. You can get certified in Scrum. You can become a certified Agile Scrum Master as well. It's called a CSM certification. So all those things. But that would help you be a more functional side of it. And you can put yourself in any industry. But when we talk about Workday, you can literally transition from one role to another. Okay. So now, once the implementation is completed, okay, within implementation also, there's a lot of other things that happens, which is a lot in detail, for which you have to be at an implementation partner company. You have to have that technical skills or build those skills in the shortest period possible, because you will be deployed on projects as soon as you get certified. Now, once that happens, the system gets implemented. There's a lot of rounds of testing that happens. There are 3 rounds of testing. I'll put them down here, starting from unit testing, which is basically the developer making sure that what they have configured is working as expected. The second one is end-to-end testing. This is basically a team-based testing or cross-functional. When I say team-based, it means different areas of the system. Like you have implemented benefits and payroll. So you need, in the testing, once the developer has done their testing, once the developer has finished their side of testing, you need to have your company product leads. Like you will have a benefits lead, you will have a compensation lead, you will have a payroll lead, sit together in a room and test the functionality to make sure that everything is working as per their requirements. Now, once that is done, the last phase and the most important phase in the Workday cycle is your UAT. This is your user acceptance testing. In this, you will have the real-time users. What I mean by real-time users is actual employees in the company. Like all of this is being done by employees in the company, but this will be like employees, not someone in HR who log into the system. So let's say your company implemented Workday benefits and payroll. So in the UAT phase, they will test how they can look at their benefits, how easily they can do their benefit elections, how easily they can add dependents, how easily they can add a benefit event, or when the benefit enrollment window opens, how many employees can actually navigate to the system and do all those things at the same time. And from the payroll side, it will be they're able to see their pay slips. They can download them. They can navigate to their banking information. They can change it. They can split it between two banks. So that would be the UAT. And in every phase, they have to follow a test script. There's a test strategy that is defined again, either by a consultant or a business analyst, depending upon which stage you are in. And that has to be approved by the manager or product manager or the project manager if your company follows that. But because see, when it comes to UAT, people does not understand what a payroll input is. All they want to see is when they log into the system, they can navigate to their payroll information. So you need to give them those scripts and that has to be very detailed, like step by step. It has to be very granular. Log into the system, navigate to X place, open Y, look at, observe the Z thing, take action on ABC, so on and so forth. And you have to ask the user when they do the testing, they also have to update that script. So testing is very, very important. In one of my last batches, I had a candidate who specifically joined the training just to understand Workday testing. Though he had a background of testing itself, so there are a lot of testing roles as well. He was certified in some of the other testing methodologies, so he was able to quickly find it. I think in the 3rd week itself, he was able to find a position. He started interviewing. Sorry, in the 3rd week, he received interviews by I think the end of the initial 5th week. He already had a job, but he still finished the training. So just to let you know, if anyone is interested in testing, there are roles for that also. Now, implementation is done. You did all these testing. Okay, you have certain modules of the Workday implemented for you. So once all the rounds of testing is done, there's a decision on when we have to put this in production tenant. That is when your system goes live. There's a proper communication message that has to be drafted, approved by the team, because that will be sent out to the whole organization. That this is what we have done. This is how you can do it. And we are live with Workday now. You no longer have to access your older system for your payroll. Workday is the new system of information. So like this, communications will be sent out. And there always is a hypercare window. What does that mean? Whether you're at the customer end or you are at the implementation end. Now, other companies might call it differently, but this is the most common term I have heard. Now, hypercare window is nothing but where your project is live, but you still keep a week or 2 weeks. Like you're always on toes if anything breaks down, right? You have a new product that has been launched in your company. So for the first 2 weeks, you're always on your toes that anything comes down, you will resolve that at a higher priority. So that is something called as hypercare windows. You can build a couple stories around these when you prepare resumes, that this project was delivered and in the hypercare window, we received this. So the person interviewing you will understand, okay, you know what hypercare window is. And it's not mandatory. It's usually for bigger initiatives. For smaller initiatives like implementing a time off, you might not need a hypercare window. Now, that is from the implementer side. Like all the implementation has happened, they associated with you, they partner with you, and you have your complete Workday system. Now, let's put this particular on one side and just talk about the customer. Now, when we talk about the customer, this is what comes in place: your post-production. And for that, there are companies who support you with that. Now, let's say your team was like a 10-member team and none of them has seen the Workday system. They only saw it when the company decided to transition from the legacy system to Workday. And slowly and gradually, they were also trained on how to use it. But now let's say you need to build some reports, you need to implement more things in it. right? And you have to expand that functionality into different parts of the world. You definitely need someone who is very much hands-on into the area that you want to expand. So there are companies who support you after the implementation, right? In that case, again, you can still be a business analyst or a Workday consultant helping those implementations. And again, there will be a product manager or a project manager, and there will always be an HR support role. Now, this HR support role will primarily come in place when you are on the customer end, right? This will be like your business partner or someone in your HR ops team who has been in the organization, who knows how the processes work. So process wise, this person will support or help the team make decisions on any new implementations. Right? You can obviously hire more Workday consultant as a customer in your company. You can hire some specified skilled in specific areas of Workday. You can hire those consultants with those implementations, or you can have a post-production support like somewhere from like Kainos or Cognitive. There are companies, many companies who support that. And again, the work will be the same. They will have consultants, specified consultants deployed to help you out. You will connect with them directly through different communication mediums, and they'll help you implement it. But if you are like, I'm a time off expert, I'm an absence and time off expert, and a certified HCM consultant. So if anything in my company comes related to absence or time off or related to HCM, I'm the first point of contact for them. If something is beyond my skill level, then yes, I let them know or I'll research for it. The very first thing is I do a research for it. If I can do it, yes, I'll do it. I'll try my best. If this is something which really, really is very complex, then we find something for a post-production support. The reason I'm sharing this all with you so you can decide, because there are so many opportunities here. You can get hired at an implementation. You can hire at these companies. You can get hired at a customer end. And when you are at a customer end, your main responsibility is to maintain the system. And that the course that we are doing will make you a techno-functional person. So you will have the functional knowledge of it, of how to work with the business, and also the technical skills on how to manage the system. Whatever the title of it is does not matter. At the end of the day, everyone is working either as a consultant. This Workday consultant also has so many different titles: senior analyst, HRIS analyst, HCM systems, project manager, so on and so forth. At the end, we all are Workday consultants or business analyst in one or the other way. Until you transition into a more, if you want to go more technical in a managerial role, you will have a product manager role. Or if you want to go more on the functional side where you want to manage a team, you will be a project manager. An HR team will always be there. I'm not specifying just one role, like the complete HR, whether it's someone from the benefits team, someone from the absence team, someone from the core HR team, like an HR partner or an HR operations specialist, or even someone from the onboarding team who basically work with employees on a day-to-day basis to help them get those things sorted out. And if they are not able to like sort it out, like something breaks down in the system and employees reach out to them, I'm not able to apply for a time off, I don't see it on my screen. Now, an HR support role obviously cannot do it. They will come to their company's Workday consultant and tell them this is the case and can you please help resolve it. You will fix it, you let them know it's fixed, and they let the basically the employee in your company know that it's fixed. If there's a new project coming in, any kind of requirement, let's say HR team has a requirement, they want to streamline some processes, they'll reach out to the product or the project manager. That project manager will build out a BRD, the scope definitions and everything. So a lot of things happen in the process. It's not like someone sent you a request on Skype or Slack or any like Microsoft Teams that I need this, can you please build it? No, Obviously, you will not say no on their face, but you'll be like, there's a process behind it. We have to document this. Majority of the companies fail to document their processes and implementations. And that is a big, big concern, specifically with organizations bigger than 5,000 employees. Because after a couple of years, when you track back, you'll see there's so many things in the system that have been created, but no documentation. And when you need audits for it, then you have to go back to each and every person. And a lot of time, these consultants, they switch companies a lot. So what happened 2 years ago, that person is no longer with the organization. So just giving you an overview of how different roles work, and you can take a decision on which role suits you the most. See, the technical side only works if the functional side gives the requirement.
Correct.
So we will be developing all those concepts through configuration, through some set of requirements. Like those requirements will be blanket requirements. I'll be sharing some generic requirements. So this is the requirement that we have received, and this is how we will cater to it using this configuration design. And the purpose of doing all those configurations is so that you will understand the complete processes behind it, how employee is hired, how employee is transferred, basically employee life cycle from hire to retire. But in the back end, how that is set up in the system, that someone in the front end, like an HR support role, can easily terminate someone. But in the back end, how does that work? They can easily hire someone. How does that work in the back end? So we'll work on that side of the system as well. So when you are looking at LinkedIn for different roles, I'll suggest prefer the ones that are on the customer side, because they prefer employees who are a good team player. See, systems come and go. Workday also comes with a validity. It's been a great system and it will continue to be a great system for many more years to come. But sooner or later, this technology will also be taken over by something else. Right now, it's a giant. Like no company as of today has the capacity to compete with Workday, has the technology to compete with Workday. That's why it's the market leader, right? But a leader is not a leader all the time. So irrespective of that, they want company wants people who can learn something quickly, but are a good team player, has the ethical value of being, present in the company, has that integrity as well. They'll help you learn the system and all, but they look more for your behavioral analysis, that how do you behave in certain situations. So your interview is partially technical, partially functional, or partially behavioral. But when you apply at an implementation partner company, your interview are mostly technical, and also at the post-production support organizations. And implementation partner can also be a post-production support company. Okay, so prefer applying at customer roles. But if you find a role which you think that you can take control of, definitely go ahead and apply. Don't restrict yourself for anything, for any particular location. Also, if you have reasons for it, that's absolutely okay. Try to play a little smart, look for hybrid roles. There are still companies hiring for hybrid roles, but please follow this thumb rule. Go through the description. If you can relate to at least 10 to 15% of the job description, go ahead and apply without any second thoughts. So your unit testing is basically your developer doing the testing. So Mahad, if you have configured something, you have to test it out as well, right? You cannot just do like you configured and open it up for others to test. You do a basic sanity test for yourself. So that is unit testing. End-to-end testing is when you bring different functional leads, team from different functional or within the HR, sit together and test the functionality to make sure that data is flowing from one area of Workday to another seamlessly without any errors. Ideally, benefits, information flow, payroll is the end, right? Every information that is there falls in the payroll side, because at the end, employee gets paid based on everything after their insurance is deducted, if there are any unpaid time off or paid time off, so on and so forth. So you have cross-functional teams sitting together doing the testing end to end. If you just go by the name, end to end, you're testing different areas from end to end, and that nothing breaks. UAT, which is the most important, is your user acceptance testing. You will request certain volunteers from your company to come sit with you and test the functionality and give you a feedback that as an end user, how does it feel? Is everything working as expected? And the reason for all these three phases is because in each and every phase, you find different perspective. And based on that, you change the setup if needed.